Hey y'all, it's your Missniecytv and I'm here to do a review for Sistas Season 7, Episode 12. The episode starts off with Karen still trying to process the call that she got from her doctor saying that she has 2 babies, but they have 2 different dads. Karen calls her mom over there to let her know what the doctor said, so when her mom gets up there, she's like, "What's wrong? The call sounded urgent." Karen's like, "Yeah, I'm okay, but it's about the babies." She's like, "Is the babies okay?" Karen's like, "Yeah, but I found out the DNA test results." Karen's like, "Zach's the father." Miss Lisa's like, "Isn't that good news?" Karen's like, "Well, he's not the only father. Aaron's the father, too." Miss Lisa's like, "How is that possible?" Karen's like, "I have fraternal twins, and they both have 2 different fathers because I slept with both men in the time of conception." Miss Lisa's like, "I don't understand it, but you should be happy because you have 2 different men that want to be the father." Karen's like, "Yeah, but you know what this makes me look like? This makes me look like a slut." Karen, girl, at least you know you said it. We did, so you can't get mad at nobody else if they call you a slut because you already know you are. Miss Lisa's like, "I think you should call them." So Karen does call Zach first because you know that's who she really wants to let know first. So she calls him and says, "I have the DNA test results." Zach is like, "Can you just tell me now?" Karen's like, "No, this is something that I should tell you in person." Zach is like, "Why can't you just tell me now?" Karen's like, "This is something that I should tell you in person." So when she hangs up the phone, Miss Lisa's like, "You know you gotta call Aaron too, right?" Karen's like, "Yeah, I'll call him." She don't really want to talk to Aaron for whatever reason, like Aaron did something to her. Over at Gary's office, we have Fatima and Andy going over there to confront him to ask him what he did to Penelope, and of course he's not gonna admit it. Andy keeps on pressing the issue, like, "Tell me where she is, she's not answering her phone." Gary's like, "Well, she likes to throw tantrums and not answer her phone sometimes, and she could be very erratic." Andy keeps pressing the issue, like, "Tell me where she is, tell me where she is. I need to find her, I need to find her." First of all, why are you so pressed to find my fiance? And how don't I know that you did something to her to keep her away from me because you want her away from me? So Gary goes on to tell Andy that she's still obsessed with him and she's still in love with him. And Fatima pulls out the play on the man because she's tired of hearing his excuses and his lies. Andy is trying to tell Fatima to stop, and Fatima's like, "Well, he's not going to admit it anyway, so it wouldn't do no good." Gary then tells him, "You better get out of my office before it turns left in here." And Fatima's like, "Well, I'm not scared of you." But the girls wind up leaving, but before they leave, Andy's like, "I'll let the police handle this." And as Andy's walking out the door, she sees blood on the wall. And I'm like, "Andy, why didn't you pull out your phone and take a picture of it? And better yet, why didn't you take a picture of it and then call the police? You could have told them that there's a person by the name of Penelope Williams missing, and you were at the last place that she's been seen, and that there's blood at the scene." Andy and Fatima are talking in the car as they're leaving Gary's office, and Fatima's like, "This is the reason you should have let me shank him." Andy tells Fatima that they have to go to the police, and Fatima's like, "Well, what?" Andy's like, "Well, I saw blood on the wall when we were leaving." Fatima's like, "What?" Fatima's like, "Well, you would actually hurt the person that's scared your child." Andy's like, "Well, you would hurt anybody to get what he wants." Fatima's like, "Well, Jordan should be the one to file a police report." Andy's like, "Yeah, Jordan, I gotta talk to him. He's gonna be devastated. I'm gonna go home so I can talk to him now, though." Over in Gary's office, we see him texting Tamara, telling her that he wants to bend her over his desk. And I'm like, "Tamara, this is truly the case of stupid is as stupid does, because why y'all still messing with each other? Especially you, Tamara. You have enough evidence to blackmail this man. As much as I don't like Hayden, he doesn't deserve to be hurt like this the way that both of y'all are hurting." We see Hayden, and he has a nice setup for her, some flowers, some candles, and a nice dinner and a bottle. Tamara's trying to play all sweet and innocent, and she's like, "So you did all this?" Hayden's like, "Yeah, I did it all for you." He's like, "I know things been acting crazy, but things are starting to look up." Hayden's like, "I just wanted to show you a little appreciation for holding me down." Tamara's like, "Thank you, and I know you have this big case at work, so you don't need to be doing all this for me." And as soon as she says that, Miss Marie Willis calls. She's like, "Where's Miss Barnes? I've been trying to get a hold of her, but I can't get a hold of her, and I need to see both of you pronto, and your co-counsel's nowhere to be found." As Hayden is over there talking to Marie, Tamara's over there being as wrong as to live. She's texting Gary. So when Hayden tells Tamara that he has to go meet with Miss Willis, and Tamara's like, "Okay, handle your business." "Tamara, I'm gonna need you to stop telling Hayden that you love him because you don't love nothing about him but his pop." As soon as Hayden touches the door, he didn't even get the chance to shut the door because she's texting Gary telling him that she's on. Over at Andy's penthouse, Andy's having a conversation with Jordan, and she's like, "Where were you? Because I went to your house and you weren't there." Jordan was like, "I was in Macon, I had a meeting." Jordan asks Andy, "Was she okay?" And Andy, of course being a dumbass, says, "Yeah, I'm okay, I just wanted to talk to you about something." Andrea just pissed me off so bad, because why would you hold a situation like that from your boyfriend, the one that you love and care about, and it has something to do with his family? Andy, this is not, "Oh, can we just meet up for lunch?" No, his sister's missing and possibly dead, and you want all this type of information? Back over at Gary's office, Tamara comes in, and they do exactly what Gary said in the text. There was little to no talking. All Tamara said was, "You can't stay away from me, can you?" And Gary's like, "You know it." Gary bent her over the desk as promised, and he went to work. Over at Zach and Fatima, Zach and Fatima are having a conversation while they feed Michael breakfast, and Zach tells Fatima that Karen has the results of the paternity test. Fatima's like, what are they? Zach is like, I don't know. She told me that she wants to talk about it in person, not over the phone. Fatima's like, oh, well, I'm coming with you. Just let me know what time. Zach is like, no, I'll go by myself. Fatima's like, no, you're not, because if I'm not going, you're not going. Once Fatima leaves, Zach tells little Michael, you think people boss you around now? Wait till you get a girlfriend. Over at the airport, Danny calls Sabrina and they have a conversation, and Danny asks Sabrina has she talked to Karen, and Sabrina's like, no, but you need to apologize to her. Danny's like, for what? She says some mean things to me too, and she needs to apologize to me too. Sabrina's like, well, she's pregnant and you need to be the bigger person. Sabrina, stop using that pregnancy as an excuse. Sabrina, if Karen wanted to talk to Danny that bad, she would have done it by now. She really doesn't care about Danny, so I wish she would stop forcing her friend. But of course, Sabrina uses her gift of gab and talks Danny into going over there. Danny's like, I will afterward. Over at the law firm, Fatima goes in her office to check on Andy and to get an update on the Penelope situation. And she's like, how did it go? Andy's like, I didn't get a chance to talk to him because he had a meeting and make it. Fatima's like, you still haven't heard from her? Andy's like, no, I tried to call her a couple times, but she didn't answer. Andy's like, this is all my fault. Fatima's like, no, it's not. Gary's deranged and he's been raised by a pack of wolves, apparently. You know, you should have left me shank him. This is when Hayden walks into Andy's office and she asks Fatima to give them a minute. And of course, Fatima and Hayden have a little moment of going back and forth like they normally do. And Fatima leaves the office. Andy's like, what do you need, Mr. Moss? Hayden's like, I'm glad to see you in a good mood, Mrs. Barnes, but I just came to tell you that Mrs. Marie Willis is about to have you for breakfast. Andy's like, what do you mean? Hayden's like, I just came to inform you about our impromptu meeting. Andy's like, what meeting? Hayden's like, well, she wanted to see us. Andy's like, well, why didn't you call me? Hayden's like, we tried, but you didn't answer your phone. But you should be expected to hear from her soon. And as soon as he said that, her phone rings, and she picks up the phone, and she's like, hello. Marie is like, I'm glad to see your phone working now. Andy's like, well, I had a personal prior engagement that I had to be to. Marie is basically like, I pay you to fix my personal issues. I don't want to hear about yours. And if you keep this up, Hayden will be the only counsel. Over at the bank, we see Sabrina injecting her hormone shots in her office. And I'm like, Sabrina, why didn't you go in your bathroom and do that? But you could see that Sabrina is very scared to do this on her. As Sabrina is trying to inject her shot, she hears arguing on the other side of her door. And it's Maurice and this other hired named Carrie. And they're arguing. Carrie basically hit Maurice with the same line from Love and Basketball. The only reason you're here is because Tyler Perry got pregnant and decided not to come. Carrie basically told Maurice the only reason you're here is because of Sabrina. Maurice is like, you right, and her name is Miss Hollandstein. Sabrina's like, hey, stop all that fighting. What is this about? Carrie's like, you stole my soda. Maurice is like, no, I didn't. I didn't steal your soda. She's trying to use her privilege and microaggressions against me. Sabrina tells Carrie that she'll buy her 12 sodas, and she also tells Maurice to go in her office, and Maurice is like, what I gotta go in the office for? Sabrina's like, just go in my office. Sabrina wants to talk to Maurice about, don't be going around here telling people that the only reason you're here is because of me. Maurice is like, well, it's the truth. Sabrina's like, well, don't be going around here saying it. After Sabrina asks Maurice did he take the soda, he admits that he did, and Sabrina's like, don't be out here stealing either. Maurice also gives Sabrina a hormone shot, and speaking of hormone shots, Maurice asks Sabrina about Rich, and she's like, well, he's actually coming over for date night and we're gonna watch TV. Over at the salon, Pam is talking to Trey as he's putting up the cameras that he told Karen that he was gonna put up, right? They start talking about good karma, because Trey is like, I'm willing to help anybody because I know I'll get blessed back, and that's good karma to me. They start talking about Pam's haircut line and how big it could be if she keeps working. Once Trey is done putting up the cameras, Karen thanks him and she says she appreciates him for putting up the cameras on his day off, and Pam is like, I appreciate you too. Back over at the airport, Tony asked Danny to watch the kids for the night, and Danny was like, what happened to your aunt? She always watches. Tony was like, I tried to call her, but she's busy. Can you watch them for me? Danny is reluctant at first, but then she agreed. We can see that Danny is really trying to build a relationship with Tony's kids, and I love that for her. As Zach is driving over to Karen's to get the DNA test results, he gets a call from Fatima. Fatima lets Zach know that she'll be meeting him there, and Zach is like, well, can you leave your Vaseline and sneaker energy at the house? Fatima's like, look, Zach, I won't start with her unless she starts. Before Zach even had the chance to tell her to leave her gun at the house, she already hung up the phone. As Andy is heading over to Jordan's house to talk to him, she gets a call from Jordan, and Jordan's like, have you heard from Penelope? Because I haven't heard from her. And Andy's like, I haven't heard from her either. Jordan's like, I think I should go by her place. Andy's like, whatever you do, don't do that. Jordan even noticed the tone in her voice, and he's like, why so serious? Andy's like, just wait till I get to talk to you, and I'll explain it everything. Andy, this is the second time you had a chance to tell Jordan what's going on, and you didn't tell him. Over at Karen, Zach and Fatima show up together, and Karen's like, what is she doing here? Zach is like, well, we both deserve to know the DNA test results, so that's why. Karen's like, look, I don't want no mess at my house today. Fatima's like, I don't want to mess either, but what's the DNA test results? Karen's like, I can't tell you right now. I'm waiting on a special guest to show up. We all know that the special guest is Aaron. And Zach is like, what do we need a special guest? Then there's a knock on the door, and it's Danny, and they both look like, what are you doing here? Danny's like, I came to talk to you about something. Danny's like, I see that y'all are occupied right now, but I can leave. Danny's like, what are y'all doing here anyway? Fatima's like, we're here for the DNA test results. Danny tells Zach, so you took my advice. Zach is looking like, shut up, don't say nothing, they don't know. Karen and Fatima are like, took your advice on what? Danny's like, I was the one that told him to get the DNA test. They were like, you what? I understand why they're both upset. Over at Maurice's on the phone with Grayson talking about their dates tonight and how he's gonna come over and they're gonna have a great time. Over at Jordan's, Jordan and Andy are making out on the couch, and this is the time that Andy finally decides to tell Jordan what's going on with his sister. She lets him know that she thinks that Penelope is missing and Gary has something to do with it, and she also tells him about Gary's dark past and the things that he's done and how she's tried to help Penelope get away from Gary. Back over at Maurice and Grayson finally make it official in their boyfriend-girlfriend. Yay for them. Back over at Karen is yelling at Danny because she's like, how could you be my friend but also tell Zach to get a DNA test on my babies? Here you are stabbing me in the back again, and the whole time I was thinking it was Fatima, but it was actually you. Zach is like, look, I tried to tell you it wasn't Fatima, but Fatima's upset because she's like, how could you listen to Danny when we made this decision and you kept going behind my back? And Zach is like, look, I'm sorry to both of y'all, but this is not important right now. Can we just get the results? This is when Aaron shows up, and Zach is like, what is he doing here? Karen is like, he's one of the people I actually did invite. Karen's like, look, he's the father of one baby and you're the father of the other one. Fatima's like, how is that possible? Karen's like, look, I have fertility twins and I saw it with both men in the time of conception, which means they're both the fathers of my baby. The look on Fatima's face is not happy at all because she's like, I don't want to be stuck with Karen for the rest of this baby's life. And I don't know what I got myself into with Zach. Danny's like, so Karen, you got 2 baby daddies? Karen's like, yeah, but the information that you just heard, don't share it to anybody else. Karen, now you know better than that. The first person that Danny's gonna tell is Sabrina. Back over at Jordan is very furious, which he has every right to, because he's like, you knew all of this, and you did all this, and didn't tell me. You did all this behind my back. Why would you keep this from me? And Andy's begging and crying and pleading for the sympathy, and I'm like, girl, you did this to yourself. That's guilt that you feel. Now, he's like, I'm going down to the police and filing a police report. Back at Karen's after the results, everybody has time to process their feelings, and Aaron's like, I'm gonna be your dad. Zach is like, yeah, but remember, your baby is your baby and my baby is my baby. Aaron is like, this is not the time. Zach and Fatima leave, and it's just Aaron and Karen doesn't really want to talk to Aaron. I'm like, what did Aaron do to you, Karen? If anything, you were... Over at Danny's, it's time for her to watch Tony's kids, and she's having a good time watching the kids until the little girl starts going through her things, and she pulls out her handcuffs. And she's like, what do you use these for? Danny is like, I use them with your dad when we play a game. The little girl's like, what type of game? Danny's like, cops and robbers. And then before she could say that, we used them to play a board game. The little girl's like, well, I want to play. Danny's like, well, ask your dad. And that's when Tony comes in and he picks up the kids and he thanks Danny for watching them. Over at Sabrina's, Richard and Sabrina are having a little date night watching the show that they want to watch. And apparently on the show, this girl is doing the position that they never tried. They're going to try it out in the bedroom and see how they like it. And Sabrina tries to hand Rich some condoms and they're not his size. He's like, you know I need to work on the condoms. What I think is going to happen is the condom's going to break and Sabrina's going to end up naturally pregnant to the point where she doesn't have to do the in vitro. Over at the police station, we see Gary talking to a detective, and he's like, something's wrong with my fiance. I think she's missing. And the last person that was with her was Andy Barnes. Andy Barnes is my ex, and she's obsessed with me, and she'll do anything to make sure that nobody else has me. Yeah, and she's a lawyer, but don't let that lawyer fool you. She's really crazy. Gary's really a different type of delusional, deranged, and crazy, because he's trying to outsmart the police. And knowing, Gary thinks that he truly has one up on Andy because he went down to the police station first, but if Andy pulled out the right evidence and things that she has on this, it's not going to be good for him. But the detective kind of believes him because he's like, we'll do everything we can to find Penelope. And as Gary's shaking the detective's hand, Andy pops up and she's like, what are you doing here? Then Jordan pops up and he's like, I know you had something to do with my sister going missing. I'm just going to tell y'all right now it's about to be a showdown in the police station. Let me know what you guys think about the episode. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on your bell notifications. Bye!